The Federal Reserve met June 16th and 17th, the first meeting under new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh, and held rates steady at 3.50 to 3.75% for the fourth consecutive meeting. The DOT plot, the Fed's own rate projection, showed 9 members expecting at least one hike in 2026, and 8 members projecting no change. The median dot shifted to 3.8%, up from 3.4% in March. Today we're covering the inflation data driving that shift, what it means at the dealership level, where auto loan rates sit across every credit tier right now, and when the next Fed decision lands. The Fed revised its inflation forecast, and not in a good direction. The PCE price index, the Fed's preferred inflation measure, is now expected to hit 3.6% by end of year. 3 months ago, they were projecting 2.7%. That's a big move in a short time. What's driving it? A few things hitting at once. The Middle East conflict is keeping oil prices above pre-war levels, which feeds directly into manufacturing costs, transportation costs, and ultimately vehicle prices. Tariffs are another factor. The auto industry has been navigating an evolving tariff environment that has added cost to imported vehicles, parts, and components. Those costs get absorbed somewhere in the supply chain, often at the sticker price. For anyone buying a car right now, the inflation picture matters in 2 ways. The vehicles themselves are more expensive. The average new car is $49,000 today versus around $33,000 10 years ago. And household budgets are getting squeezed everywhere else, making that average $765 monthly payment harder to absorb. The Fed completely dropped its language about future rate cuts and shifted its median projection higher. New Chair Kevin Warsh didn't submit his own rate forecast, which wasn't a surprise given his long-standing view that the Fed's projections box policymakers in when conditions change. The takeaway: the Fed is not signaling cuts, it's signaling the possibility of hikes, and the auto finance industry will price that in. Current auto loan rates are already elevated. According to Experian's Q1 2026 data, the overall average auto loan rate is 6.39% for new cars and 11.43% for used cars. Let's take a look at new and used by credit tier. According to Experian Q4 2025 data, Super Prime, scores above 781, average 4.66%, Prime borrowers at 6.27%, Near Prime at 9.57%, Subprime at 13.18%, and Deep Subprime, scores between 3 to 500, average over 16%. And used car rates run roughly 3 to 4 percentage points higher across every tier. What does a 25 basis point hike look like for a consumer? On a $35,000 loan at 60 months, a quarter-point rate increase adds roughly $8 to $9 per month in payment. That sounds small. But for a near-prime borrower already at 9.5%, even small increases are meaningful affordability hurdles. Not to mention that lenders tighten their credit criteria in response to rate pressure, which means some borrowers who currently qualify in one tier today may not qualify in that same tier tomorrow, resulting in even higher rates. Let's look at rate history. Auto loan rates were averaging around 4% a decade ago. They've more than doubled on new vehicles and nearly tripled on used. That rate path has correlated directly with affordability pressure. New vehicle sales are estimated to retract by 2.5% year over year through 2026, with leases potentially dropping by as much as 3%. The average new car buyer now pays $812 per month, up 3.1% from last year. And nearly 6 in 10 buyers are rolling negative equity from a prior loan into their new purchase. It's a structure problem that lenders, dealers, and consumers are all trying to navigate. New car sales are also under pressure from a more fundamental shift in consumer behavior. When the average new vehicle costs $49,220 and rates are above 6%, the used vehicle becomes significantly more attractive, even with higher interest rates. Elevated borrowing costs and household budget pressure continue to overshadow demand. Many consumers are moving to used vehicles, and with used vehicle rates already averaging 11+%, the total cost of financing isn't necessarily cheaper. Only the price on the sticker is. The next FOMC meeting takes place July 28th and 29th. That meeting will not include an updated dot plot, as those are quarterly, so July will be a data-dependent decision without future projections. Before July's meeting, 2 data releases will shape the decision: the May inflation report on June 25th and the June jobs report on July 2nd. If prices stay elevated and hiring stays strong, the case for a hike gets harder to ignore. A huge shift going forward is how the Fed communicates. Warsh dropped the language about future rate cuts and cut the statement itself down to 130 words, about two-thirds shorter than usual. He also didn't submit his own rate projection. His view is that when the Fed telegraphs moves too far in advance, it boxes the committee in when conditions change. What this means practically? This Fed is going to be harder to read than the last one. Dealers and lenders who have been using Fed statements to plan ahead may find there's less to work with going forward. July is a live meeting. A hike is possible. So is a hold. The data between now and the 28th will tell us which way it's leaning. Rates held still, but 9 officials feel we may need a hike. Inflation is running hotter than expected, and the Fed may stop giving future forecasts. Although there is a change to how they will communicate rates in the future, the Fed's meeting calendar is still a great business planning tool. We'll watch for the reports on June 25th and July 2nd, and watch the next Fed meeting, and discuss what it means for dealers, lenders, and the auction market. Subscribe and be a part of the AFP community.